First of all, thank you for attending this webinar. And for those who are not attending, we'll send it in the future, in the next email. That way you guys can watch it. First of all, I want to wish you guys good health, making sure that you guys and your families as well, you're keeping your mental health, you're being positive about everything that's going on, as hard as it may be, just relaxing, breathing, taking one day at a time. And I think the best thing to do during these times is just to obviously not think of the negative aspect of it, because then we'll drive ourselves crazy, but actually think about the positivity that can, and the opportunities that we can get out of this, from these situations. Because if you guys just start freaking out and panicking, which at one point most of us have done, we won't get anything accomplished, But if we calm ourselves down, relax, work on our mental health, whether that's taking 15 minutes a day to relax, have fun, smile, laugh, and bringing laughter to everyone around us, we'll get through this, and that will bring clarity. And what clarity will bring is basically opportunity. Because if your head is just scrambled with negative thoughts, you're not going to get anything accomplished. But if you have clarity, then you'll be able to see the opportunities, and you'll be able to get stuff done and get stuff accomplished. So I also wanted in this webinar, I got my good friend, Jason Waldron, AKA Wally Waldron. He's an investor, marketer, and he's a seasoned business advisor. We've been working together, 4 or 5 years now?
Yeah, probably 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yep. A good portion of the decade for sure.
Yep. So he's been with me basically through the good times, the bad times, of the business, and he's been able to get my business succeed. He's been, because of him, we've been able to get into the Inc. 5000 2 years in a row. He's been helping me not just in marketing, but in business as well. So definitely a good person to listen to. And without further ado, Jason, I want to leave this webinar to you, and basically to talk about what we're going to do. Just to give you a little bit more, the title of this webinar is Survive and Thrive with Your Auto Repair Shop. So we're going to talk about some things to get you prepared during these times for what may happen. So Wally, go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Juan. I appreciate that. And yeah, as you said, we have some water under the bridge at this point. We've had some good successes. We've had some challenges that we've gone through. Hey, welcome.
How you doing?
Hey, welcome. We're just getting started. If you don't mind muting yourself, appreciate that. But yeah, we've gone through, business is, it's like riding a wave sometimes, and sometimes you're on the up and sometimes you're on the down. And, the idea would be to be able to ride those waves and always keep, working your way up and serving your customers along the way. And, to build a sound business so you can take care of your family and yourself. And so I just wanted to start off here. We're going to talk pretty high level at first about just what do we need to do to survive, and then grow into thriving with your auto shop. And I'm going to just present a few different ways to think about what's going on, and then get a little bit more detailed into some actions that we suggest that you take right away based on everything from my business network here in the Denver, Colorado area, where we're talking to people who have run Fortune 500 companies, and they're in their 70s and they've never seen anything like this, where we went and asked them, what would you do right now? And so we gathered that information. We're going to present it to you here this afternoon. And then more importantly, once we kind of settle in and understand what that foundation is, so that we can survive this bump in the road, which is temporary despite how it feels right now, then what do we do to set ourselves up to thrive over the next 3 to 5 years? And so that's the light at the end of the tunnel that I promised you here over the next few minutes. And we'll open it up to questions in case there's specific things that Juan and I can help you with today. And so the first thing that I want to just share with you, and I don't know who all can see this very well, but I've chatted this link into your Zoom. And what this is this is called the Kubler-Ross change curve. And it's a really interesting thing, but what it is this is the process that we all go through when everything changes. And I think everybody here would agree that, you know, the world that we thought existed on January 1st, 2020, and a lot of our goals and New Year's resolutions and stuff like that, they started to get thrown out the window about a month ago as the severity of this COVID-19 situation started to present itself. And so you go through these emotions where, you know, first there's the shock of what has actually happened. Like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? And there's a surprise. And, you know, in your body, you actually have an adrenaline rush, and you have a moment of fight or flight that takes place, you know, down to, you know, survival. And then from there, you go into a denial situation for a moment, right? And, you know, it's like, is this really happening? Is this true? Is this not true? And then it turns into frustration as the reality and the gravity of the situation starts to present itself. And I know that I've gone through this a couple times. I'm not sure if anybody else, you know, we don't know each other greatly, all of us here yet. But, you know, I
think anybody that's an entrepreneur has
yeah, right. I think everybody can understand what we're talking about, right? So you know, you go through this depressive period, right? You go through some depression, and you start to figure out like you know, you might just feel like you don't want to get out of bed in the morning and stuff like that. And you know, maybe even as we're talking about this right now, you know, you're somewhere along that curve, and I'll show that up. You know, say if you're at the low point of that curve, I'm hoping that maybe we can walk away from, you know, today's meeting here and at least get into experimenting with, you know, some ideas on how to deal with the new reality, and maybe even a decision, right? Like, what am I going to do to go forward? Because eventually that's where we have to go as entrepreneurs. And so, you know, once we've gotten past the survive part, we go into experimenting with new ideas, a decision to move forward, and then we integrate it into the new reality. And that's how we go from, you know, this low point of shock and awareness and depression into, you know, past surviving and into thriving. And so is this resonating with Juan, is this resonating with your experience so far?
Yeah, of course. For example, like I went through a low point last year too with the business, you know, where again, I was thinking about negative stuff that could happen, and then that just clouded my mind with the worst outcome, you know, when in reality it was all in my mind. Obviously, this is a different situation, but we need to, like, from that situation, I learned to basically control my thoughts and control my emotions. And by controlling your thoughts and emotions, you can have.
Yep. Did I freeze or did you freeze?
I think Juan froze. I see him frozen on my screen.
Juan froze? Okay.
So I hear you just fine.
Okay. So Juan will be right back, I'm sure. I think he froze. And so what we'll talk about here is kind of a very high level is, you know, how do we survive and prosper in this coming recession for your auto shop? And I'm going to talk first about, you know, the first thing is just what Juan was starting to touch on there about, you know, choosing your lens and choosing how you want to view this coming situation. And so, you know, when you go through these challenges, what lens are you making an active choice to go through? Because the reality is out of all of our controls. So, you know, we then have a choice where we can look at it through an optimistic, positive lens. We can look at it through a negative, you know, bitter lens, or something in between. And so as entrepreneurs, you know, we are the people who are in charge of essentially creating a new reality that did not exist before and inventing that new reality along the way. And Juan, welcome back. You froze up right as you were talking about the mindset. And so I've just been kind of taking people, you know, through the importance of that essentially, and choosing your lens, which I think is what you were getting exactly towards, right? So, you know, we have to be optimistic as entrepreneurs, because that's, you know, whether, you know, it's, you've got the entrepreneur bug. So you're going to be creating new solutions that don't exist. And that's part of what this meeting is about today. And so one of the important things that we found over the last, you know, 20 odd years in business is, you know, both coming back to your 80-20, meaning what is the 20% of your activities, your actions, your thoughts, all of those things that creates 80% of your results. And some people call that the Pareto principle, but more importantly, taking that that lens of what is the most important activities that I can do here, and mapping that to why I care anyways, right? And so for most of us, you know, it's to take care of our family, to leave a legacy, you know, to take care of our clients, to take care of our auto shop customers. And so so within that context, I'm going to go through a very detailed, just step by step, you know, nuts and bolts. Here's what you want to be doing right now. And I'm going to blow through this really fast. I can send this to anybody at the end of this this call today, if you want me to send it to you, and we'll put our contact information here in the chat in a little bit. So that if you need access to Juan or myself to get notes or just any specifics from what we cover here, we're happy to share that with you, obviously. And so, you know, the first thing you're going to want to do as you're getting into survive mode is cash management. And so I'm going to dive real deep into this, but real fast. And so, number one is, if you have a business, to look at the SBA loan called the EIDL. It's basically a $10,000 emergency grant that is available to your business right now. And if you haven't signed up for it, it takes literally 10 minutes to sign up for it. You just need to know how much revenue you brought in last year, what your cost of goods sold was, and the time period for the revenue is going to be from February 1st, 2019 until January 31st, 2020. And so it's just that year prior to the COVID thing happening. But the government really wants to put $10,000 into your bank account tomorrow as a business owner so you can keep rolling. And the theory being that this is going to be sort of a V-shaped recession. So going to go down real quick and going to go back up real quick. And so we're taking the position with our clients that we ultimately have no control over that, but we think that it's going to kind of go like that too. So we want to be prepared. And so, so that's the very, very first thing. But more importantly, on the cash flow management side is, you know, think about basically get with your tax professional and find out what other new rules are available to you. And for instance, just as one example out of many, one of the folks that we work with, who's a client and a longtime partner of ours, they do cost segregation. So if you are an auto shop sitting in your building and you've been running your business out of a building that you own, then there are lots of new things that are just coming about over the last week and a half or so, that without going into too much detail, the projections that I was seeing was, it was putting $100,000 to $150,000 back into people's pockets almost immediately by essentially going back in time, refiling some taxes and changing the way they depreciated stuff. And so some of that's above my pay grade, but it's more like, that's a thing that exists. I've got a guy that can help you with that. So, and that's kind of that's the reason why Juan and I have this call today, is anything that we're mentioning here, if you need access to, people who are helping put these strategies in place, we have those people in our network. And so that's, step one is just know that this stuff exists and see if it can help your cause. A couple other things that you want to know about is, if you have some bigger accounts receivable collections, you may want to, get out ahead of that if you haven't already. And I don't know everybody on this line so well, but if you're doing larger, if part of your auto shop is, larger, longer term contracts or fleet maintenance or something along those lines, those oftentimes are going to be the folks who are going to try to use their leverage over your shop to protect their cash flow things. So get ahead of them and work with them on that, and use it as an opportunity to strengthen that relationship rather than get into the other situation. And so, it's very, and then, another thing, and I know Juan and I have been working on this, is, talking with vendors and just making sure that there's payment plans available for things where maybe it was going to be a cash situation, but maybe you need to do a payment plan now. But just, talk closely and use it as an opportunity to get close with your vendors and your business relationships. Going back to that 80-20, maybe there's something that needs to be cut out that was kind of on shaky ground anyways. And so that's a little, unfortunate, but sometimes these times are when you can, kind of cull the herd a little bit. And so, so before I go to the next step, are there any questions or anything like that? Either from you, Juan, or anybody else that's on the line? No? Okay. I'm gonna keep on rolling then. Or is there a question there? I hear somebody. No? Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep on rolling. And then we'll answer all these questions at the end if we need to. So, the next thing here on step 2 is really, if you go to your bank or you go to any lender, which you may want to do here soon, as of today, the Paycheck Protection Program is getting rolled out. And so what that is again, you want to look at how much it makes sense to get from your current banking relationships. So if you have a current banking relationship, that's definitely the path of least resistance. And what it is your bank is going to take you through a rapid application program. And the Paycheck Protection Program essentially is going to give you money for free for anything that is going to cover utilities, rent, paychecks for people in the business, and so on and so forth. And so it's to your advantage to spend an extra few minutes looking at how that might apply to your business and looking at essentially getting a free equity injection into your business for the purpose of, tiding you over to this next this next reality. And so that's what I'm talking about, where if you have a V like this, and this is a recession, and most of the businesses around you are crashing and dying, if you can just bridge that gap so that you're not part of that V, but you're just sort of like this, and then you're going to be setting yourself up for success on the other side. And that's really the essence of why we're here today. And so once we can kind of get over that survival mode, then we're going to start talking about more exciting things. And so, but if you have a landlord, tell them what your COVID-19 plan is. Work with them. I think the most important thing here is, looking at no matter what's going on, just open the lines of communication and use this as a moment to build trust and deepen those connections with your business network, not retreat into a fear situation. And so, is this making sense?
Definitely, it's making a lot of sense.
Do you have any thoughts to add to that one before I keep this thing going?
No, I mean, we got to take every opportunity that the government's trying to give us. So as far as the PPP and the grant and everything like that, I suggest if we need it to take advantage of that, that way
Right.
we can survive during these times. And like you said, it's perfect with the V shaped, it is, because if it's a straight line for you, then great. For most of us, it may be a little bit down with the help of the government, but I know we can survive this. We gotta cut some non-essential costs and work on our marketing too as well. I think, which is I think one of the steps that you may talk about in the future.
Yeah.
Next step.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things that we'll get to here in a couple of minutes is, now moving, kind of like you said, like not going through the V, but going through, lessening that or trying to keep it as straight as possible. So, this is probably out of the scope of this, but just so everybody knows, most, like if you have a home mortgage right now, most banks are open to deferring payments on that right now, just to buy you time. And so I know as a business owner, it's not necessarily about personal finance or anything like that. It's more about, do I have enough space in my brain to think about stuff? So if it's going to help you think better as a business owner, to know that you can talk to your personal banker about getting your mortgage deferred, to do that. You know, it's like, because it's all together, right? It's you know, and that's really you know, take advantage of whatever you can to build the business stronger out of this. And so so really, if that's kind of the whole thing, right? Is, you know, talk to your bankers, talk to suppliers, you know, talk to Juan if you're in business with him, you know, and work things so that everybody's working together, and you know, getting these, you know, in a pinch, but instead everybody's helping each other. And you know, one of the things then that we're really advocating, and you know, what actually excites me about this call here today is, I'm going to put some ideas here as far as stuff that works and stuff that that you can really use right away. And what this is a few years ago, Juan and I did a presentation about how to essentially double your business without spending any money on your marketing. And so at the very, very essence, what we were talking about was, first of all, make sure they come in your shop. And this is going to sound so brain dead simple that you're going to laugh at me, but it's literally as simple as, make sure your customers come in, and then make sure they come back and keep coming back. Right? And it sounds like the most simple thing that you've ever heard in your entire life, but the whole point here is, you know, we have to give our customers a great experience, right? And so if somebody can find you so that you know, so are you listed in all the search engines so that people know that you're the local shop that they want to go to? When they come in, do they get added to your customer database? And is there a procedure to give them a good experience? So initially they have that good emotional experience, right? And then from there, you know, obviously we're going to assume that you're doing a great job with your customers, but you know, let's say they come in for an oil change, which is kind of your no-brainer first touch, right? When they come in for the oil change, does the car get inspected to find out if their tires need to be maintained? You know, are you going through a 90-point, you know, quick inspection to find other little things that can be, you know, maintained on that car? But more importantly, have you created a trust situation so that, you know, they're going to get a phone call 90 days from now when it's time to come in again on the next thing? And, you know, so on and so forth. And we did some math, and I couldn't find the stat in time for this conversation, but essentially, if you take a $60 oil change, just as an example, and you do 4 of those a year, you know, 6 times 4 is 24. So that's $240 annual to essentially keep the wheel going like this to grow your business, right? So that's your marketing budget for free. But if you add them to an email sequence and then send them an email once a month, and then you start to perhaps use some social media things, like if you have somebody who's under the age of 35 with a smartphone, make that guy or girl your social media person, right? And have them essentially do like a Gary Vaynerchuk thing. This is what Juan and I were discussing the other day, and he knows a lot more about this than I do. But you can, you know, show people something simple that they can check on their car, like, here's how you check to make sure your brake lights are working. Here's how you check to make sure your oil level is high, et cetera, et cetera. But what you're doing is just building a high enough trust there so you stay in the top of mind awareness, because the goal here is to get those customers coming in and then talk to them about how much cheaper it is to maintain that car over the next 5 years and keep that same car rolling, as opposed to go and buy a brand new expensive car. And if you simply can just keep more people coming back to you in the business like that, then you're going to spin that wheel over here, and you'll have more business without spending any extra money, simply because you gave them a good experience when they came in. You put them on an email sequence so you keep top of mind awareness there, get them going on the social channels. And then as you create content on the social channels, you can put that up on YouTube and optimize that stuff. And, you know, you keep this wheel going, and you're always at the top of their mind. And so the best part about this strategy is the communication about helping them save money, and you're becoming trusted where they want to work with you more, as opposed to going to the car dealer. And I think that that's really important. And it's going to be something that really helps people, because I think we all know how expensive new cars are compared to maintaining them. If we're in the auto industry, we know, you know, the actual numbers behind stuff. And so, so that's really what you want to start doing, essentially tomorrow or this afternoon, and you know, start getting those programs installed. And that's something. Of course, my company does that all day long. If you do need extra help doing that, you know, we're here to help you. But really, there's a lot of free options to get you rolling. Like fire up a MailChimp account. The first 2,000 people are free on it. You know, I'm sure that, you know, half the shops here are probably using some version of, I forget what the auto shop program is called off the top of my head right now, but, you know, a CRM and an auto shop, you know, that has your customer list. You can start calling people, bringing them back in. And that's the name of the game, right? Get them into the auto shop, give them a great experience, and then bring them back. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Like, you know, you gotta, at this point right now, we gotta strengthen relationships with everybody, you know. So I got my guys, for example, calling all of our clients from the past couple of years. I changed our email marketing strategy too as well. And so instead of just sending discounts and, you know, what we used to do before, I'm actually trying to help people, you know. So I'm sending emails saying, hey, if you guys need to talk to me, and this is just pretty much coming straight from the heart, because I really want to help people. And the funny thing is that as I help more people out, it kind of like calms me down as well. So it kind of works for me and works for them as well, you know, because it basically kind of gives me something to do as well, and makes me like, you know, makes me help people as well. So that's one of the things that I like. And one of the thing about the videos that you were talking about, I also like that idea, you know, because right now I'm sure most or shops are either closing for the time being or they're slowing down. So, you know, you can go to your shop and do a quick video on how to do XYZ, or do an oil change or this or that, you know, and like you said, it's going to stay in the minds of your customers, you know. Put that video up on YouTube, do a Facebook Live event, do an Instagram Live event, and all those things actually definitely people will remember you for it, because you're doing these things, because you're helping people out. And right now, I think we need to help as many people out as possible.
Totally. And I'm, you know, this might sound super old school, or even weird, but don't discount the value of just going into the shop and cleaning a bay. I mean, you know, like getting that maintenance done that needed to get done that couldn't before, because sort of the same thing, like if we come from a purity of intent and like literally from the heart going to care for our business community, which is what this meeting is about right now, it's the same thing. Like you can go and clear out your mind and the cobwebs and think about the business, you know, by embracing this forced pause basically. And you know, you'd be surprised how much thinking you can get done just grabbing a broom and you know, cleaning something, right? You know, and again, you know, it sounds kind of, you know, sounds like old grandpa sitting on the chair telling you, no, clean a broom or something. But you know, it's old school stuff that works, you know.
Yeah, it's giving, like I said, it's giving you something to do. It's giving you something to do, is making you productive, you know. And this is we have to strengthen relationships with customers and strengthen our business as well. So, you know, as small as cleaning a bay, that's also helping your business out one way or another.
Right. Yeah, because what happens when you do stuff like that is you start to notice things that you didn't before, and you'll think of your business with a lens. You know, going back to choosing your lens, you'll get a different perspective on the business that you'd never seen before, and it's pretty interesting what can happen when you do that. And so you know, that's really what it's all about. So
exactly.
Nice. So should we open it up to questions in case anybody has specific questions or concerns that they want to work on?
Sure. Yeah.
So everybody here, you know, what we can, what Juan and I can tell you is that, you know, this is, you know, you're in the family right now. So that, you know, if you do have a question with your business and we can help you with it right now, either type it into the chat box if that makes, you know, if that works better for you, or feel free to get on, you know, unmute yourself and ask a question. You know, we're here to help right now. That's the whole purpose of this conversation. Yeah. I know it's like, who are, you know, I don't know any of these people. I don't want to ask any questions, right?
I mean, I guess we can take them through different strategies too. Like, I mean, I think the basic strategy, the key strategy is just marketing is just care about what's going on in your community,
Yep.
care about what's going on in your family. You know, like the more you care about your people, the more those people are going to come back to you eventually, you know, because at the end of the day, like I said in the first email I sent out, like, you know, we're all in this together, whether we like it
Yep.
or not, we're all in this together. And then the more we make connections, virtually, I guess at this point,
Right.
we'll get through this, you know, even if it's just talking to somebody, like, you know, after I sent the first email out, I like a couple of people that called me up regarding, hey, like, you know, this is going on, like, you know, just mentally, you know,
Yep.
and I was able to basically talk them off the ledge and help them with their business,
Yep.
see different opportunities that they were talking that they may have not seen before,
Right.
because they had a little bit more clarity in their business, you know.
Yep.
And I think, like you said, like most entrepreneurs have had their ups and downs,
Yep.
and the down times, I think, has like up to a certain extent prepared us for this situation,
Yep.
because, you know, you go in there mentally like, all right, I felt this before, I gone through this before.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit more. This is a little stronger, but at the end of the day, it's like I know how this feels, and I know how to get out of it.
Right. Yeah, I just put something in the chat box there that folks feel free to steal that, or borrow that forever. And that is the idea of care. And so, you know, you have your clients, you have your customers, you have your community, right? And then you ask them questions. So, you know, if you build how they come into your auto shop around this, right? Asking them questions, you know, how you doing, right? I mean, Juan, when we started this conversation today, it was first like, how's your family? How's your family? How are you? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's, you know, just actually caring about people. And then, as you know, of course, how does it turn into business? Well, you're going to ask them how they're doing, but you know, then you're going to ask them, like, you know, why are you in here, right? Like, how's your car running? How's your, you know, how's the business? All these things. And then from there, you're going to reconnect with them. You're going to recommend additional solutions, and then you're going to expand and extend the relationship. And, you know, it sounds so simple. You can build an entire business off of just that one concept right there. Like, and especially, you know, the most important thing again is that purity of intent. And, you know, I know, you know, in the small town that I live in, we have kind of a tale of two different auto shops going on, and it's really interesting because there's a shop that I worked at about 20 years ago, and I'm still really good friends with the folks who run it, and it's fourth generation. Like, you know, this place, it was founded in 1921, and so it's gonna, you know, hopefully make it to 100 years next year. And the whole thing is that people come in and they know that, you know, they're gonna remember your name. They're gonna, you know, you've probably been coming in there for a long time, and they're gonna give you a fair deal. And if something goes wrong, they're gonna treat you right and make it right. And that's how they've managed to be around for, you know, 99 years now. And then right down the road, you've got this other place that used to be a gas station, but now it's just an auto shop, you know, that looks like an old gas station. And about every 5 years, some new guy comes in and takes the place over and does a bunch of marketing and gets people really excited about it. But because they don't actually care and they don't actually participate in the community and they don't really do a good job, it just keeps turning over like that. And it's really interesting to me, you know, the only thing that's different is that one place truly embraces this care attitude. And so, you know, I know for a fact they had their best year ever last year. And in the first time in the whole history of their business, they actually stopped taking customers on Saturdays so they could take care of their employees, actually, so they could actually have a family life. And so they, you know, and they're still doing all right. And then there's this other place that just is always on shaky ground. And so I don't want to, you know, I just want to reiterate or put some gravity around the importance of really caring for those clients.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what Gary Vaynerchuk, I mean, you mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk before, you know, he definitely talks about this a lot, you know, being empathetic and being caring, truly caring about your clients, you know, and not really just, it's not all about the money.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all in business to make money, but it's really about who we can help, how or what can we create. Like for me, for example, as a business owner, it's more like, all right, let me take care of my family, my friends, my team as well. And at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
what else can I create in order to
Yep.
help people out? So that's if we keep that mentality going, I think we'll all get through this little by
Yep.
little, and then we'll all survive. And again, like I said, together we'll make this happen.
Mm-hmm. So
Yep.
So what are some of the questions that folks are talking with you and your sales team about when you guys are reaching out to them over the last couple of weeks? Like, are people still frozen, or are they starting to get into flight or fight mode, or what are you hearing out there right now?
Well, most people are just kind of taking it day by day. They're panicking about, like, some of them are kind of like worried about what's going on, what can happen in the
Mm-hmm.
future. So they don't know what's to come.
Okay.
So, more, like I basically give them the same speech I kind of gave in this webinar to, like, calm down, relax, take
Yep.
15 minutes a day to enjoy something, to laugh, and to bring laughter and happiness to your family, to your
Yep.
friends, and just breathe. I know I'm very big into meditating, so I meditate, at least for like 10 minutes a day. And if you're not, for example, like, I came across a video that the Navy SEALs actually do in order to relax themselves, which is called box breathing. So box breathing is basically you breathe for 4 seconds,
Yeah.
hold it for 4 seconds, let it out for 4 seconds, and then
Mm-hmm.
do the same, repeat it over and over. So it's basically meditation, but they call it
Yeah.
box breathing. And that relaxes you and then makes you prepare for whatever situation they have, for very stressful situations. And as we all know, Navy SEALs have crazy amount of stressful situations going on. So,
Right.
a Navy SEAL actually said that this morning regarding this whole situation. So I think box breathing would go very far right now. Other clients are just, like, they don't know what to do. Like, they have a lot of free time in their hands, so they don't, they're basically freaking out because obviously as an entrepreneur, we always want to do things. We
Right.
don't want to stay still, So I tell them, like, hey, work on your marketing, talk to your clients, email them,
Mm-hmm.
email your clients, even if you don't want to talk to them or you don't have the time
Yep.
to talk to them on the phone or call each one, email everyone,
Yep.
and just show them that you care. For example, like, I got a lot of emails from vendors or from other companies
Yep.
with the same thing, like, hey, this is like, we're in this COVID situation. Well, like, our offices are open for this time to this time, but there are
Yep.
very few people that are sending emails that it seems like they truly care.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's going on? Let me know if you guys need anything. Call me. Like, so those businesses, for example, I remember, even if I didn't read the email, I'm like, oh, this person I remember from, for example, I got an email from Liz from turn14.com, saying, like, hey, if you guys need anything, just give me a call. So, like, you remember stuff like that.
Right.
And what's going to happen after all this is said and done, I'm going to probably give her a call and say, hey, like, let's work together.
Yep.
And I remember you sent me an email when I was freaking out and it
Yep.
calmed me down. So, hey, let me know how
Yep.
we can work together. Kind of like you and I, like, you and I, for example, I've been working for 4 or 5 years, and even like, we're still like, hey, if you need anything, just let me know. Like,
Yep.
like, you call me, but like, hey, how's your family going? How's everybody doing? So, like, it's like, all right, let me. You even said it yourself. I want you want to do business with me because we have that relationship, and because
Yep.
we built that relationship of care, and like, hey, how's it going? So it goes farther beyond just a business relationship at this point.
Right. Well, I think that touches on something really interesting too, and that is, if you really want to get yourself out of, sort of the panic mode, you start with something like, very tactical and very in your face, like the Navy SEAL breathing, which I put in the chat. I documented that for everybody if you want to have a reference for that. But then from there, where you want to go with your mind is, it's still important. Like, what are you doing where are you going the next 3 to 5 years? So can you actually put yourself mentally into that space and look back, from your future to what's going on right now? And can you, it's kind of easier said than done, but I think it's important to think about, where you're trying to go with your business, and really from that mental side, thinking from that future state to look at it now, because there will be answers that come to you. And that is sort of the magic, I think, of being an entrepreneur, is that you're able to tap into that whenever you want and create things much differently than a lot of other folks out there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, especially from entrepreneurs, and I think, like, as an entrepreneur, you're a creative person.
Yeah, right.
But you gotta have your mentality, your mindset correct in order to create. And as we spoke in the beginning, like, if you go into panic mode, you're not gonna be able to create anything, or you're gonna create stuff that's not correct. But if you go into the relax mode, for example, do this box breathing or meditation, you're gonna be able to have clarity and to work on stuff that can help you in your business, can help you in your marketing, and so on and so on and so on.
Well, yeah. So Juan, what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to put our contact information here in the chat in case anybody needs it.
Okay.
And I think that this has been really, really good. I think what's really cool is that you talk about what we really shared with everybody here. Essentially is why you might be feeling the way you're feeling in a panic moment, and sort of how that curve works, as far as basically we're catching up with the new reality, right? And then you shared some really important things about how to think properly about this type of stuff, and how to breathe through it and just get yourself in a centered place so that you can actually deal with reality and move into making decisions and experimenting and integrating this new reality into your business and into your life, so that this moment can be looked back on in the future as a place where you survived and then thrived with your auto shop, as opposed to just something worse. So so I think that's really important. And then the other thing that you were sharing that I think is pretty good is is just the importance of coming from that caring place, and then pushing, if you're going to push that out into your marketing, but for always coming from that spot first, and then making sure that as you're dealing with your clients and your customers and everybody who you affect, which you have a big effect if you're an entrepreneur, that you're coming from a caring place, and that's really where the thriving part comes from after all this is said and done. So
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you there, Tim. But yeah, I guess if nobody else has questions,
yeah.
Like I said, guys, thank you again for attending the webinar. Wally, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Can we send this out to everyone?
Yeah, there will be a recording of this. Well, if Zoom does what Zoom is supposed to do, let's put it that way. But yeah, we'll work to track down the recording and send it back out to everybody. And fingers crossed that there's no technical snafus, and we'll get it out to everyone.
Okay, perfect. Again, guys, thank you very much for attending our webinar. I know it's there's certain things that we spoke about. If you guys want to hear or want us to speak about anything else, as far as business, marketing, how we can survive and thrive during these times, let us know. Write us an email, and then we'll get it done. We'll talk about it in our next webinar as well.